What's up, guys? We're going to look at parallel lines and a transversal, but we're going to put a little bit more math into it rather than other than just naming the angles. We're going to look at congruent angles only today. All right, so let's talk about first, what does congruent mean? Well, you might recall that congruent means same size and same shape. Well, we don't have shapes here. We just have angles that we're going to be talking about. So congruent in this instance is going to be the same measurement. And the symbol that we use for congruent is the equal sign with a little squiggle on top. So when I talk about the same measurement, I'm saying that the angles are going to be the same or equal. So remember that in math, same is equal. We're going to write a few congruent statements for the angles to the right here. Let's take a look. So we know that alternate interior angles are congruent. So if I pick a pair, let's say C and E, those are going to be congruent because they're alternate interior angles. So I could say angle C is congruent to angle E, like that. I could also say that vertical angles are congruent. So I could say angle B and angle D are congruent. So angle B is congruent to angle D. And then I could say, let's say one more pair. Let's do corresponding. So corresponding is going to be in the same place. So like we have top left and top left, or top right and top right. Those are corresponding. So maybe angle A and angle E. Those are congruent. So angle A is congruent to angle E because they're corresponding. So all of those, so we have alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding vertical angles. Those are all going to be congruent. So let's take a look here. So we're going to try to find the measure of angle A. Or the value of angle A. So we can name this as the measurement of angle A equals our answer. Okay, so that's another way for them to ask what is the measure, or how much is the degrees, so to speak, for angle A. So we'll note that 58 is given to us, and we're trying to find A. Well, in doing that, I need to identify these types of angles. They are alternate because they're on both sides. One is on one side of the transversal and the other one's on the other. And then they are interior angles. So alternate interior angles, they are equal. So the measurement of angle A is going to be the same as the other one labeled. So this is going to be 58 degrees. So pretty straightforward. And for the most part, I'm just going to tell you this. If it looks like it's congruent, we have parallel lines cut by transversal, most of the time it is. So keep that in mind as you work through these. All right, so let's look at this one. I'm going to go ahead and name these. What is this? Alternate interior angles. All right. And then these angles, so this one should find the value of x. So we're not finding an angle measure this time. We're actually going to be solving an equation. So when I'm trying to find the value of x, I'm going to say 3x plus 8 is equal to 125. I know this because they are corresponding angles, and corresponding angles are congruent. Congruent means the same or equal. So then to solve this for x, I'm going to get x by itself. I'm going to start off by subtracting 8 on each side. And so I'm left with 3x is equal to 117. And then I'm going to divide by 3. And so x is equal to 39. So it's not going to be 39 degrees. It's just going to be x is equal to 39 and so that would make this angle congruent or equal to, it would make this angle congruent to this angle here. Okay, last one here. We have a pair of congruent angles. So I know they're going to be equal, but let's label these. So these are alternate because they're on one side of the transversal and the other. And they're going to be alternate and they are outside the parallel line. So they're alternate exterior angles. So I know they're going to be equal. So I have 2 times x plus 6 is equal to 72. There's a couple ways you can solve this. I'm going to show you a way you may not have thought of before. I'm going to take this, I know this is 2 times x plus 6. So to undo times, I'm actually going to undo times first because it's outside the parentheses. So I can't do if it's right next to the variable. I can do if it's right next outside the parentheses instead of distributing and then later moving everything else over. I can start off by dividing by 2. I get rid of that 2 out front. Then I'm just left with x plus 6 is equal to 36. And then I subtract 6 from each side. Man, that was so much easier than distributing and then subtracting and then dividing. So I think it's easier, but you don't have to do it that way. X is equal to 30. The other way, I'm just going to work that out real quick so that you can see how that can be worked out as well and you get the same answer. So there you go. So you would distribute first, then subtract, then divide. And so it's up to you on your preference on how you'd like to solve that. So we looked at congruent angle relationships today. That's alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding vertical angles. All of those are going to be congruent. If you're still not sure about which ones are congruent, which ones are supplementary, I ask you to go back and refer back to your 3-1 notes to make sure that you have those down. Again, if it looks like it's congruent, when we have parallel lines cut by transversal, they probably are going to be congruent, but just double check and make sure. By identifying the angle relationships, telling yourself, justifying to yourself what angle relationship are they? Are they alternate exterior? That kind of thing is what I'm talking about, angle relationships. And that's it. You guys got this.